had plenty of scenarios on stage, memorable things. I know that someone fainted in the front row only last week, so we could see that there's someone being moved out of their seat or being carried out, and you kind of want to go in there and help. Say, are you okay? Do you need a hand? But then you're like, oh no, because everyone else is still watching and the show has to continue.
I've had terrible drunk people in the audience before, yeah, who've had to be asked to leave. That's quite stressful. But you know, it's alright.
People said, despite great pain, I carried on. There wasn't any pain, because you don't feel pain, do you, in those situations? It's a shock. And I went on for about 20 lines, and I thought, this doesn't feel right. And I looked down, and it was sort of like a sort of Z shape. And I thought, actually, this is not good. So I just, ladies and gentlemen, I think I've broken my hand, so I think I better go. Actually, the other actor I was on stage with said, I think you better go to the hospital. So
there's always something odd going on, because there's, you've got 50 people in a room who are trying to be quiet and concentrate. So
well, actually, it takes ages to mend these things, don't they? I mean, I've been told it's 6 months before it even begin to look normal. It does look a bit odd.
Somebody having a conversation on the roof at the King's Head, a very sort of intimate conversation about some party they'd been to and who they'd been going to bed with. And I was in the middle of a one-woman show, and it was everything I could do not to tell them to just shut them up. But I kept going somehow. I don't know how.
My mate once said something to me during a play I was doing at the Finborough Theatre a few years ago, and after a really highly emotional moment where I was crying, I'd just been shouted at by someone else in the play, I literally heard my mate say to his girlfriend, "Nice one, Treads." And kind of broke the moment. So I haven't let him forget that, and now I've done it to BBC, so it's forever there.
I've forgotten vital props and had to mime them. I've forgotten lines. I had catastrophic dries, but hopefully no one ever notices.
Oh, I mean, in Abigail's party, because a lot of people that come as fans of the show, and everybody kind of knows the script. So a lot of the time, before I even said a line, they'd be like, "She's the pineapple," and you'd be like, "Excuse me, I haven't actually spoken yet." I think I've had a few people falling asleep, which is always a bit depressing. But apart from that, a few phones going off, but nothing major. No, not yet. I'm sure there's time. It will happen. I'm sure. There was once when we were at the Wyndhams, and a couple must have been having an argument, and they must have been talking very loudly, and somebody in front of them apparently had said, "Can you please be quiet?" But she must have said it like 2 or 3 times. So just before I was about to say a line, I just heard someone go, "You're a witch!" So I just thought, "Me? What you talking about?" But actually it was to do with some argument that were having. But it is always funny when you hear things like that. I mean, it can be off-putting and a bit terrifying if you're not completely comfortable with the show itself, if you haven't bedded it in yet. But once you're sort of comfortable and you're there, it can be quite funny.
I've done pants up for 9 years, so people are constantly getting up and going to the toilet and chatting, and they're on the mobile phone, so I have lots and lots of those, but no real horror stories, no.